Balance is where the magic is.
Welcome to the Unmasked Parent Podcast, the podcast for neurodivergent adults learning to lead, love, and live out loud, one unlearning at a time. I'm Kimberly, your host and fellow late diagnosed parent. Let's walk this healing path together.
Today, we are taking a deep dive into the student-teacher, sort of you are both the student and the teacher at all times thought. And that balance is where the real magic happens. So we've talked about it in other podcasts that society is just, it gets it wrong, okay? It makes us feel like we must arrive before we can lead. We must already be in that end place before we can help others through. That if we ourselves need help while trying to lead others, including our family, that is not okay and that we are not supposed to need help. And there's a toxic lie that you can't teach while you're still learning, which is a lie, exactly that. The reality is we are always both the student and the teacher. And so sometimes we have moments where we have to humble ourselves and take a deep breath and realize that we don't have it all figured out. We as parents a lot of times try to put on this facade, this mask, that we know everything, that any questions our kids have we can answer, that we know how to handle anything that comes our way. And a lot of times that is just not the case. It's just not true. So one of the times that comes to mind in my head through all of this is when I want my child to do something my way. I have a thought, I have an agenda, there's a reason I want it done my way. I don't want to have to explain. I don't want to have to whatever, I just want you to do what I ask you to do when I ask you to do it. And to a lot of parents, that sounds like a reasonable request. However, I think that we forget that our children are just they're human beings and they're curious and they a lot of times want to know why they're doing something. They want to know a lot of times if we can just give them a little bit of information, right? Just a little bit of, this is why I need you to do this. And if we can give it to them and they can understand what it means to other people or what it's going to mean for them, then they're going to get on board faster with it because it's not just, I want you to do this thing that you don't want to do, but I want you to do it because I say so. So sometimes I'm the teacher teaching my child about ADHD. Sometimes I'm the student realizing how much I've masked my own needs for years. This was so powerful when the thought came to me because I think a lot of times we mask and we mask so deeply because we want other people to believe in us. We want other people to, think that we're okay and that, we're good and all that kind of stuff. We don't want them to think we're broken or that we have problems. And so I think when we do that and we're not realizing that our kids are watching us, they tend to do the same things, especially as they get older into their teenage years. They will just, this is what mom or dad does, so I'm just going to do the same thing. And that is where it is so important for us to realize when we are masking too much, when we are not getting our own needs met, because we are teaching our kids how to help them get their own needs met. Duality is healthy, powerful, and honest. If we can learn to embody both being the student and the teacher, we teach them stuff, but we also learn from them. And in that way, as they grow older, they're going to learn that it's not just because I got to some age that all of a sudden whatever I say is right, but I'm always learning. We have that growth mindset that we keep learning, we keep getting better, we keep wanting to do more. We're going to take a quick break and we will be right back.
Hey, it's May, and the Neuro Circus is in full bloom right now. So let me give you the rundown of every magical happening this month. First up, the Abundantly Aligned Action Challenge kicks off Monday, May 5th. 3 weeks, 15 weekdays of setting powerful intentions without burnout and watching the manifestations roll in. It's free, and honestly, you don't want to miss out. Then, on May 17th, we're officially re-releasing the NeuroCircus Rings books. One book combining all 3 rings with stories and tips. Also, those who purchase in the month of May get 6 weeks of free group coaching. Details to come. If you've got kids at home this summer, get ready for instant summer camp. We're talking weekly themes, fun activities, and my favorite new addition to the NeuroCircus, Moonlight Magic Minis, launching May 9th. Gentle, family-friendly moon rituals for bonding, intention setting, and sensory under the stars. And to wrap up the month, we've got Camp Planning Week, the 27th through the 30th, so you can get totally set up for a summer that's joyful, easy, and aligned with your family's energy. It's all happening this month. I'm so glad you're here to ride this wave with us. Now, back to the podcast.
All right, welcome back. We're going to talk about the signs that you are in the student seat, okay? Because sometimes I feel like we're there and we don't even realize it, or we don't want to realize it. We want to put the blinders on. No, I don't. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. Just like our kids do. You know, when they're 2 years old and they're trying to put their clothes on themselves, and you like really just want to dress them because you really need to be out the door, but they really want to do it themselves. That's us as parents when we don't know what we're doing, but we want to say that we know what we're doing. So if you feel raw, unprepared, or unsure in a situation, so your kid comes up to you and says, "Mom, what does this mean?" And you're like, "I didn't think we were at that point yet. Aren't you a little young to be asking that question?" That is when you know you're in the student seat. You know that you did not prepare for this, and you need to take a beat, take a breath, and figure out. Get inquisitive. Ask, right? Where did you hear about this? How do you know? Figure out where and what they know. Because they might have heard something that's totally untrue, and you can just say, "Nope, this is not it. And when you get older, I'll explain it if that's what you feel like is the best way to do it." But we need to be inquisitive and not just deer in the headlights, right? If you crave validation, but fear being exposed. So if you want your kids, your spouse, your family to say, "Oh, you're doing such a good job," or, "You're right in this," but yet you don't want to actually go all the way there. You just want to kind of sit back and go, "I'm going to make a decision and I'm going to say this, but I'm not going to firmly say it." And this is something that I've done more times than I can count, actually, where in my head, I'll make a declaration. We are going to change this. We're going to do this. I'm going to implement this. But if I don't say it out loud to everybody, for them to hold me accountable, for them to, give me their feedback so that we can create the actual real, project together, right? I'm holding it all in and I'm going, "Okay, I'm going to make this change, but I'm probably not going to make this change." Yeah, student seat. If you notice resistance from the people around you, okay, and this is a big one, it's going to get a little woo in here for a minute, but we are mirrors to other people. Okay, so we mirror other people mirror us. So if you're around people who are constantly doing something that is annoying or not good or, could be better, right, is not in your highest self, you need to stop and take a breath and ask yourself what that's trying to show you. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are exactly like that, but there is a point where it is trying to show you. You are being shown all of these things. So maybe we'll go with what I just said, right? Where I was having poor communication for a long time, and I would come up with an idea, but I would be so unsure of it, and I wouldn't want the criticism from other people. So I would keep it to myself, and I'd try to implement it, but I didn't have any support, and nobody knew what I was doing. And then I would get frustrated because nobody was listening to me when I'd start to say little bits and pieces of it. I'm gonna get on a schedule, I'm gonna clean on these days, and I'm gonna do this on this day. But I didn't communicate that. So then next thing that happens, these days get filled up, or these times get filled up by other things from other people because I didn't communicate that. Right? And we have that same thing going on with our kids a lot of times, okay? Our kids will behave in ways that they have seen us behave. They will behave in ways that they think they're copying after us. If they see us get away with something, they're going to try to go down that road. So it is very important to remember that none of these signs are bad. They are just that, signs. When we come back, we are going to wrap it up. Be right back.
Every September, my daughters and I take part in something incredibly close to our hearts, the Out of the Darkness Walk from the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. This year, we'll be together on Saturday, September 6th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time in beautiful downtown Indianapolis to walk. And I'm inviting each and every one of you to walk with us on the NeuroCircus's official team. Suicide loss is something my family has experienced personally. Walk is a moment of healing, connection, and hope for so many. Our goal this year, 30 plus walkers with us to show up and raise awareness and remind everyone that you're never alone. If you would like to join our team and walk either physically or virtually, the link is in the description, or you can DM me anytime. This movement is about light, community, and walking forward together. We'd love to have you there. Now, back to the podcast.
All right, welcome back. So there was a meme a while back, and it was, I forgot who the actor was, but maybe it was Chris Rock, where he was talking about, I'm healing, not healed. And that is an important thing for us to remember in life, okay? We are always healing. There is no healed, because as soon as we think we are healed, there's going to be another ripping off of a layer for you to continue to do the healing. We are continuously working on ourselves, continuously getting better, always striving to do better, to be our highest version of ourselves. And so I think the world tries to make it seem like there's a destination. And once you say enough, do enough, releasing, and do enough, whatever the rituals and the whatevers are, that you're just magically supposed to not be triggered anymore. And you're magically not supposed to be upset or frustrated by things, and that's just not true. We are human. We have human emotions. So, when we get triggered, we have emotions, and sometimes it's hard. Sometimes we don't really know how to explain it. Sometimes we know how to explain it, but it's just a little bit, it's different. Right? So one thing I want you just to remember is that healing is a lifelong process. Okay. You might be in that space where that might trigger you, because you just kept thinking that at a certain point this was all going to be over. I promise you, it gets easier. It feels like less work at some point, because you start to learn how to hear what those lessons are. And the more you realize, well, this is a lesson, I can get over this, and then I'll be in a better space and I can, do more and whatever. That is very, very important to keep in mind. It will not be this hard forever, but you have never arrived. So in your takeaway for today, I encourage you to take out a piece of notebook paper or two, if you want to do it in two ways, into different pages, but I want you to label either one side and the other side, or one paper and the other paper, things I am learning versus things I am teaching. And I want you to, when you are learning something, write that down. When you are teaching something, write that down, and know that both of these are valid. Both of these are very important to our process of growing. Being real is powerful, okay? Being authentic, not copying off of people, not lying, not pretending, but just being our real, raw, authentic self is powerful. And in doing that, we are also giving our children the permission to be authentic and real. And that's super important when it comes to their teenage years, when it comes to peer pressure and things like that, because then they can have their values and they'll know that it's okay to stick to their values and not to have to just do things to make other people happy. Today is Friday, and we have just wrapped up the first week of the Abundantly Aligned Action Challenge. You are not too late. Click the link below if this is something that sounds like you would like to work on. We can totally plug in communication, learning how to learn in a more graceful way. We can plug those things into your goals for that and watch the abundance and the growth and the lessons and the level ups happen. I'm Kimberly Cox. This is the Unmasked Parent Podcast. I will see you next week.